8 in the morning.
Do you want to say it this time?
No, you got it. You've trained yourself.
You can say it this time.
I'm not going to be loud enough. I'll mess it up.
Go for it.
Well, welcome.
That sucked. Welcome back to Talking Story. My name is John Minton. This is Jakob Minton. We got him from behind the control desk today because last night we left our fortress of solitude. Or you get out a lot. I don't get out that much. I'm old.
You go to work every day.
Well, I mean, there's that, but that doesn't
count.
That doesn't count.
That counts.
It doesn't count. That's not fun. But we left for a fun reason last night. We went to go see Dune 2.
Yeah.
And so we have all of our, I think we're going to try and stick kind of spoiler free, just in case someone hadn't read it or someone hadn't seen it, or...
Should we have a spoiler section? I feel like we should have a spoiler section.
Maybe we should have a spoiler section, but in the beginning we'll try and be spoiler free.
Okay.
They're just kind of our thoughts, our reaction to the flick. A lifelong fan of the books.
I have not read any of it.
Never read the books. Never read the books.
Never read most books.
But a young filmmaker who was an official entry in a film festival for his first short film. So what were your thoughts as a filmmaker watching what Denny V had put together?
I mean, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That's... There were a lot of parts of that movie, like aspects of it, that were pretty flawless. The directing was... No one can contest that was incredible.
Visually stunning.
Yeah.
I thought the perfect tone.
Yeah.
I mean, dealing with, drama that's hearkening storytelling back all the way back to the Greeks of family tragedy. Never really slid into melodrama. Was always believable. He got just the right performances out of all of his actors, I felt.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think as far as like adapting a world from, and obviously Dune is more than just one world, but takes place on just one world for this.
Right.
Adapting a world and all the cultures to the screen,
yeah.
I don't know if anyone could have done that better.
Obviously a big fan of the book.
Right.
Like you could see a lot of this stuff has lived in this dude's head since he read it. I don't know how when
Must
he first,
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been percolating for a long time.
Had to be.
Yeah. And I thought he absolutely got every bit of that out of his head onto the screen for me to enjoy. I felt like visually wise it was a love letter to the source material.
I would agree with that. I don't think there was any technology or designed like props that they created that I was confused what it did.
Right.
It was everything felt in place, created by, like the technology I thought was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess I felt about a lot of the movie. The way that he adapted the world from the book to the screen it made me want to read the book.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I guess also for a reason that we'll get into later.
I don't know what that means. That's ominous.
I didn't totally understand everything that was happening.
No, okay, he did not totally understand everything. But I mean, how much would you think So moving away from filmmaking, which I think, was there anything? Here's what I really appreciated too. Sometimes in modern filmmaking,
yeah,
people love what goes boom.
Sure.
So much that the sound mix relies heavily on music swells and what goes boom, and sometimes we lose performance and nuance because the sound mix, these sound effects and swelling scores overpower the dialogue, and I can't tell what people are actually saying.
Are you talking about Christopher Nolan?
I'm saying modern filmmakers.
Christopher Nolan.
Whoa! It's Christopher Nolan. Like everyone's lips are moving, and all I hear is whoa.
Yeah.
So okay, but there was not that.
No, there was not.
There were intimate, small moments, and I could hear every bit of it, and I really appreciated that part of his overseeing the entire production. I know he wasn't. I know he didn't do the sound design, but I'm sure he had a huge say in the mix.
Yeah, he's the director. But I think that not just being able to hear the dialogue, the sound design on its own was amazing.
Yeah.
You feel the power of, oh my God, that's a 400-meter worm coming out of the sand right now.
Yeah.
It feels large.
Yeah, it felt large, and I appreciated the touchstones of the sound design for some of our own terrestrial cultures here on our planet. attached to those, so you had like a touchstone, a cultural touchstone to different cultures.
Yeah.
I thought that was handled extremely well. But that's just me. Other people from other cultures may feel differently. This is only my response to the film. So that was just one thing I want to say. Is there anything like as a young filmmaker that you're watching going, whiffed on that ball, I would have done that differently?
No.
So you're gonna say
Not one thing. That was like
you're gonna bow down and say, as filmmaker,
nailed it.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. I don't think there was one thing in that entire movie that I was like, I wouldn't have done that shot, or that was a little weak. I don't think so.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I kind of actually liked that there were times where he just let the sound design go away and kind of let his amazing sets and CGI speak for themselves, and
his
shots
actors
linger. Yeah,
and his actors. I mean, this is my thing, and I have to shout out Javier Bardem for his portrayal of Stilgar. I thought
he was pretty amazing.
I
didn't read the book, so I don't know Stilgar from the book, but
different. His performance is different, more layered. He brought some humor to the film, as well as a fanaticism.
You're saying there's not a lot of jokes in the book?
Not a lot of jokes in the book, but it's interesting because he was able to work on both those planes as a mentor, somewhat comedy. I think response to the film, and then at the same time the fanatical following. It's like I thought it was handled very, very well.
I think
there wasn't
fanaticism kind of played into the comedy sometimes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Just the amount of times that he would go, yeah, Paul's the guy.
Yeah.
It's just no matter what, after he does anything, Stilgar's the first person to jump up and put a fist in the air and go, that's the guy.
Yeah. He put his pants on 2 legs at a time.
That's the guy.
As written.
As written.
Yeah.
I would like a counter for the amount of times that Javier Bardem had to say as written.
You love your counters.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you're working on something for next week. You love your counters. So, okay, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, directing.
Okay, so let's go into the story they were telling.
I don't know if I'd say 10 out of 10 overall, but directing.
But directing,
10
visually,
out of 10.
you can't. Yeah. I can't find fault. I really can't either. Really jaw-dropping. Awe-inspiring, pretty much that type. I don't know if you've seen like Lawrence of Arabia, some of David Lean's films from back in the day.
Sadly,
as a film student, you really should.
I know I should.
But that kind of awe-inspiring filmmaking.
Yeah.
For me. I know you can't compare it to that, but anyway, you should watch
Lawrence of Arabia is one of your favorite films of all time, right?
It's way up there because Peter O'Toole is way up there for me. But anyway, so how about the story they were telling? How much of that, as a non-fan of the book,
well, the story,
what do you feel you walked away with?
I walked out of the theater going, I think I understood between 60 to 70% of what was going on.
Yeah.
And after getting in the car and driving home and asking you, okay, what happened?
Yeah, what did I just see?
What I just watched? You explained it, and I was like, okay, no, I got all that. I understood everything that happened.
But you had questions about yourself. For yourself. I feel like this is what it is, but I'm
not certain.
I'm not given enough to know.
Yeah.
This is what you were saying, which I found really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it just moves so quickly because there's so much information that you have to get out that there's not enough time for them to introduce an idea and for me to get used to it and then they confirm it. Like that process doesn't happen. Yeah. They just go like, hey, here's the thing. Look at this. This is happening now.
There was no confirming.
Which not that there's... I'm hesitant to knock it for that because I don't think... If you were going to adapt this book, obviously they adapt one book into 2 movies already, so it's 6 hours. Right. But if you were going to adapt this book into 2 movies and be able to explain everything, those 2 movies would be 8 hours long each.
Right. So the first book we're talking had a 6-hour treatment of an adaptation. Right. And that's, I mean, it's not saying, hey, we squeezed this into 90 minutes. Or this was back in the day when we thought a movie couldn't go over 2 hours or it's death, you know, marketing-wise. So, I mean, it's kind of 2 chunks of a small miniseries. They had some time. And even with that time they had, you cannot do this.
Yeah.
It's not.
I'm hesitant to knock them for that because I don't think it's a possible goal.
Here's my take.
I think that they did the best anyone could do.
I completely agree with that statement. I can't think of another artist or auteur or director that could have come at this source material and made as an effective love letter 6 hour long to the source material that I saw, right? But there's still so much missing as a fan. There's just, it has to be so slick and streamlined and on rails.
Yeah.
To even come in at 6 hours, you're missing so much.
Yeah.
And what I felt you were missing is some of the higher drama elements that impact individual characters, that make them make the decisions they make for the climax of the film.
Yes. I
So
would agree with
when
that.
Paul is torn, I guess we're getting into some spoilers here.
Click away if you haven't. Why would you click on this video
If you haven't,
seen
yeah.
Dune 2?
I don't want to ruin it for anyone, so I'm going to give you a count of, in my head, 3. Okay, so I don't.
Why in your head?
I don't want to do a countdown. That's weird.
We'll have a sandworm swipe across the screen.
Like Paul's decision by the end,
Right.
that I don't want to go to this, I don't want to buy into this fanaticism, I don't want to be that person and go on that dark path of his that I need to, that is calling me. There's things that, and I don't want to ruin it for you, but there are things that happen in this book, because I do hope you read the book. I do hope this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think they achieved that.
So there are things in this book that happen.
Sure.
That push him, and the things in the book that push him to make that decision of, okay, I'm going south. And you
In the movie,
but
that
in the
was-
book, there's not two different factions that believe or disbelieve. I mean,
Really?
the Fremen are kind of one universal
Interesting.
situation.
They all believe in the prophecy.
But for him to go in I'm going in on this path, there's something that happens to him personally. And like I say, a lot of the strains of storytelling that go all the way back to Greek family tragedy, like if you look at Oedipus or Antigone or things like that, that you see echoes of all the way up to this. I found were somewhat missing parts of Aaliyah, somewhat missing, and then large parts of the world. The Spacing Guild is not there to flesh out the reasons of why spice is so important. The Mentats are not there to flesh out why we're seeing a feudal society using swords and shields as opposed to pew pew. A lot of these things are just not laid out there strictly because you just had to.
How could you possibly have time?
You had to put this bad boy on rails, right? Yeah. And so there was so much missing.
Yeah. Like I think I told you last night the greatest example or descriptor of how I felt was the Fremen send somebody to go meet Feyd-Rautha to see, like, okay, this dude's a psychopath, but can we control him? Can he still be useful to us?
It's not the Fremen, the Bene Gesserit.
The Bene Gesserit, sorry. Yeah, the Bene Gesserit. Send somebody to Feyd-Rautha to see, this dude's crazy, but can we control him? I understood that entire process because that was laid out there. This person's going to see Feyd-Rautha. He's crazy. They control him. They report back and say, I think this dude could be useful.
Right. Well, he's got levers they can...
Yeah, exactly. We can pull this dude's strings and he can kind of be our puppet. That's an option. I understood all of that. I don't 100% understand the motivation of the Bene Gesserit as a whole.
Right.
Because we didn't have time.
Right.
And maybe part of that is because I didn't rewatch Dune Part 1 that came out 3 years ago.
I remember walking away from Dune Part 1, and it's like there's so much of things that are sketchy, and the whole history and motivations and what are the objective of the Bene Gesserit is one of those things that were kind of hazy,
Yeah.
And even I think overall, large part of that is kind of stripped out of this book is the mysticism. You see a couple, like You see a couple of...
Well, it's mysticism and that you don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. You see a couple of examples in the movie of someone using the voice or pushing someone with voice or obviously...
Yeah, I still don't totally know what the voice is or what it's from.
Right, exactly. Because none of that... But there was so much more going on. Mm-hmm. Like when Jessica or Paul would take the water of life. Uh-huh. This was so much more of a psychedelic trip in the book. Like there's so much...
It's pretty trippy in the movie.
No, you just see somebody like you don't... It's really understandable visions that they have.
Okay.
And
these were not understandable.
not to you?
No.
It was far more...
Back to what you were talking about a few minutes ago when Paul changes his mind and says, I need to go south. That all happens because he has a vision for 10 seconds that is pretty similar to the vision he's been having on why he shouldn't go south, which is, I'm going to cause this great famine or genocide or something's going to happen where millions of people die if I go south. And then
the Holy War starts. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they get attacked. Everybody needs to go south. Paul says, I'm not going south. And then he walks away for a scene that I'm going to say lasts maybe 5 minutes and has another vision that's pretty similar to the one he's been having. And then he walks away thinking, I need to go south.
Yeah.
It's like, but why?
Yeah. See, there were more motivating factors and there were a lot more visions going on just as he was taking on spice melange from living out in the desert. Mm-hmm. And then when he takes on the water of life, it's such... Like now he can not only see have a bit of prescient vision of what's to come. Mm-hmm. He can see every permutation of a future, mm-hmm. depending on what he does to move it. So I just thought there was just the barest whisper of things that were happening in the book because of time constraints again.
Yeah.
And there was so much, like the Aaliyah thing was completely different.
Aaliyah. Oh, that's his sister. His unborn sister.
Right. And you see Anya Taylor-Joy for like that
sure.
long. And that's completely changed.
From what? Should I not ask? Because I want to read the book.
If you want to read the book, I'm just not even going to say.
Okay.
Because it's...
To me, it came across as... Especially because Lady Jessica drinks the water of life while she's pregnant, and they have that shot that shows Aaliyah...
Right. It washed over.
Right. Aaliyah, the water of life, and
her
there's
in
clearly
utero. Yeah.
Going to be something crazy about that baby when it comes out.
Yeah, she ain't right
because it's speaking to her.
Yeah, she ain't right.
It's not even born yet. But
I mean, they kept Aaliyah otherworldly and not right. I thought.
Yeah, to me, it was just not explained enough to the point where I was questioning. Okay, is Paul not the chosen one, or the Quetzal's Haderach? Is Aaliyah the Quetzal's Haderach?
Well, the Quetzal's Haderach would be a male that has Bene Gesserit, so Paul, it would have to be a male.
Right.
And so I think you'll find out that they've been working on this for a long time when you get deeper into the book, like Madame Finring that goes to Feyd-Rautha to see if he can be controlled.
Yeah.
Her husband is actually a failed attempt. At being the Quetzal's Haderach. So, like, you can see, like, a Bene Gesserit through line.
So they've had failed attempt? Lady Jessica's not the only one that's tried?
They've been, it's been going on for a minute, right?
Okay.
So there's things that, they're just things that you don't have given to you.
So is... The Bene Gesserit is... obviously angry with Lady Jessica. We should just call this video John Explains Dune.
Yeah, which I read this so long ago. And
you seem to remember it pretty well.
I've read it several times, and then I've also tried to remind myself through some what happened before videos and things before we went and saw the film.
So the Bene Gesserit is obviously upset with Lady Jessica for, in her hubris, trying to have the Quetzal's Haderach because she thinks she can do it.
She was supposed to have a girl.
Right.
Her and Duke Leto were supposed to further the bloodline.
And she did not, because she had Paul and she thought, I can have the Quetzal's Haderach. This is the time.
Yeah. And I'm kind of fuzzy on why she thought that. She really loved her Duke, I know, and all, it was a real love story.
Well, my question is, what is the reason that the Bene Gesserit don't believe Paul is the Quetzal's Haderach? Is it because they're blinded with their anger with Lady Jessica? That doesn't really seem right to me because they seem very factually non-emotionally driven people.
I mean, that's probably a really good question. I don't know if I have an exact... I know they're trying to bring this about so they can have control over it.
Right, yeah.
And maybe they feel, okay, this wasn't our time, this wasn't our timeline, it's not supposed to, so we don't have full control. We don't have all the things in lined up to how to use it the way we have planned.
Right.
I mean, I don't have an exact answer of why they would not, because at the very beginning
We stumped him.
Yeah, at the very beginning of movie 1, they test him with the Gom Jabbar and see,
right.
Okay, he's not just, he's got,
He's got potential.
He's got potential. He's got something.
I think the Bene Gesserit woman, I can't remember her name, says that when she leaves.
Right.
He's got a long way to go.
Right.
But if he's going to be the Quetzalcoatl, it could make sense.
So at that point, they could have used him in control. I mean, they were...
Yeah.
Until they turned on the Atreides
At the end
line.
of this movie, she calls Paul an abomination when he uses
Well,
the
because
voice.
he's gone.
He's gone crazy.
He's gone Quetzal. He is the Quetzalcoatl. I can see all the permutations. They're not in control of him. He's outside their religious order, and it's like that's that's abomination. Which so much of the theme of the film, which I thought the movie did a great job capturing, is charismatic leadership. How dangerous it is. Religion used to draw a line and say these are believers, these are non-believers, so this makes them less than. So to have that dividing line, and I think that even though the film was put on rails, Denis V did such an amazing job of getting that across.
I agree with that.
The dangers thereof, fanaticism and that type of thing. So at its core, some of the themes were there, but there's just so much missing.
It seems that, and again, I haven't read the books. From what I can tell, it seems that fanaticism might destroy societies.
It's not pretty.
It doesn't seem to be.
It's not pretty. The interesting thing is, like, from here, right, I can see storytelling all the way back to the Greek ideals of familial tragedy.
Right.
Going forward in genre, from here we get Star Wars and we get Sun Eater, which everyone is enjoying now. But... like Star Wars,
watch the interview with Christopher Rocchio. He talks about how much he loves Dune.
Yeah. So it's Star Wars though takes this where Frank Herbert wanted to really show the dangers of fanaticism, right? Mm-hmm. And the prescient of running out of resources and what that can do to society and all these type of things. He wanted to take that. Whereas George Lucas took that as a template, and then over the top of that, he put Joseph Campbell's hero's journey onto it and made a chosen one story, an ascendant chosen one story. And a lot of people read this first book and thought, that's what I'm reading. I'm all in on Paul's journey. I'm all in on this hero's journey.
I don't know, man.
But Denis V kind of foreshadows a lot more of the danger. In the book, you don't necessarily see that much.
Oh, it doesn't end that way in the book?
It ends that way, but there's not as much foreshadowing of, ooh, he's on a dark path, this could go wrong. You're kind of thinking, yeah, man, he's going to rise up and he's going to get vengeance, and he's the guy that no one thought would be this messianic figure, but he is, because he's the chosen one and we're all in. And then when you get to the second book, Dune Messiah, that was Frank Herbert doubling down and going, no, that's not what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So there's some of that.
How long after Dune did Dune Messiah come out?
I don't know the exact.
I know it was before you were born.
Yeah, well, was it? I don't think so. I don't.
Dune came out in 1957. Well, I think it was originally 2 books, and then it was.
It was 2. Well,
amalgamated into
originally,
one.
I think it had a magazine publication. I think.
Yeah.
But
sure, I don't know.
But so yeah. Denis V brought some of that from Messiah in, some of the foreshadowing in of, ooh, this is a journey you necessarily with the stacks of the visually think about the stacks of body. We start Dune 2 and we end Dune 2 with stacks of bodies being burned.
Yeah.
You're really starting to get a genocidal idea, and some of his visions of journeys coming are really dark. So a lot of that is foreshadowing that if you read the first book, you might not pick up. Mm-hmm. You might now because you've seen the flicks.
I'm sure in the 8 years it'll take me to get to that book, I won't remember.
Okay.
You're going to think we've talked about today.
You're going to get to this book.
I will get to that book.
Yeah.
I really want to read it. Because of the movie.
Right.
I think if that was, and I don't see why it wouldn't be a goal of theirs, to make a movie that inspires people to read the book, that obviously has a lot more information about the interesting world that Denis V adapted to the screen. I think they succeeded at that.
I think Denny V must love this book so much to hear, if he could hear you say, yes, those movies want to make me read that book.
Well, and I think a large part of the reason for that is because of, it almost feels like deprivation.
Yeah.
That, like, I watch those
can't
movies.
get it all, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so interesting how the Fremen work and the fall of the Atreides and what exactly is the history of the Harkonnens. I don't totally know. What exactly is the purpose of spice and all of its different uses. I don't totally know. But I'm interested in all of it.
Yeah.
I'd like to have those answered for me.
And
by
you would.
reading the book, and I would.
Then you absolutely would, yeah. So I would say get to the book as quickly as possible. But I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people seeing this flick, right? Like
Yeah.
this movie is doing extremely well.
Yes.
Which makes me feel very happy because it's a beautiful, artistic, wonderful achievement, this film.
I completely agree.
And it's going to make more and more. I don't think everyone running to see this film is people like me that have loved the books for years. I think there must be a lot of people buying tickets that haven't read the book.
I mean,
So if they're
The first
leaving
book-
wanting to read the book, aces.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first movie was so popular that everybody's going to be in on this second movie, and it seems like they are.
Yeah. And I can't imagine them being disappointed.
No, I wouldn't say I was disappointed. I would say that that's the best you could possibly do
Yeah.
with the amount of information you have to get across.
Right.
And it is what it is.
So we've never done a reaction to a flick before.
Yeah.
It's our first one. So what would you say? We usually give 5 stars. What would you say star-wise that you would give this, or let's just say, would you recommend it for everybody to go see, or how would you sum it up?
I mean, I'd recommend it for everybody to go see.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would rate it because I don't know what to knock it for.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel right to give it a 10 because it didn't achieve everything.
Well,
but it couldn't have, so...
You're talking about art being perfect, which is unachievable because it's
Right.
made by fallible beings.
Right.
So,
Well, I think also, I don't think this is technically filmable. I think that is as close as you can get to adapting this book.
I would. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody could have done it better.
Yeah.
Which I think, if anything, is a really great reason to go see the movie and study it.
Yeah.
Of how the hell you can get this on a screen.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely worth a study, worthy of study. It's that level of filmmaking. And I would
think
say,
if you want to see what Denny V can do with a contained script, go watch Arrival. If you want to see Denny V do his damnedest to get Dune on a screen, go watch Dune.
right, Arrival is from a short story.
Right.
So he got, I think, the full impetus of that story to tell on screen. And that is a masterful film, too, that not enough people have seen.
Yeah.
But I'm the same. I would say absolutely go see this. It will work on you in ways that you don't even realize are working because just storytelling to that level is just genetically encoded in us going all the way back to the birth of drama in Greece. And you won't even understand what's working, but it will work. If you think you're not into sci-fi, so it's not really your bag, baby, it is your bag, baby. It will work on you, and you absolutely should see it. If you're a huge fan of the book, it is such an amazing love letter. You just have to divest your ideas of getting everything in here on the screen because, like you say,
It's not possible.
I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
So I would say everybody should see it.
I think the best way to enjoy the movie is...
With popcorn.
Sure, with popcorn.
Raisin-
That's any movie.
Raisinets.
Well, you like Raisinets. I'm not the biggest fan of Raisinets.
A big-ass soda.
I like Reese's Pieces.
No, those have merit, too.
They do.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
I think the best way to enjoy the movie is just go watch the movie and accept that you're going to have questions at the end and then just look them up after.
And then, no, don't look them up after.
Go read the book.
Pick up the book after. Pick up the book after. This is a wonderful book that should absolutely be read. It works on so many levels, and maybe we'll tear into the book someday.
I'm curious your reaction to the movie as somebody that read the book before rather than someone like me that wanted to read the book after seeing the movie.
Makes me want to read the book again.
Okay.
Yeah.
But was it cool? Like, I noticed next to me there were things happening that I didn't totally understand, but someone would say a line and you would go, mm-hmm.
It was that weird.
loudly in a quiet movie theater.
Yeah, I was that guy, right? Like it worked on me to the level. This has lived in my head for so long,
Yeah.
and in my being for so long, because I first read it in high school, and to see moments, and I'm a very visual reader. When I read, I see it all, and to see moments played out, and to have themes so fully realized. And to have that fulcrum moment in drama where everything starts to turn realized and work, it actually evoked a verbal response from me several times. I found myself watching the film a lot like this, and then
spoiling me because there was a line where Paul tells, oh man, what's the Fremen woman's name played by Zendaya? Shawnee. Paul tells Shawnee, I'll never leave you as long as I breathe. And you just went, no. I guess he leaves.
but that ends differently in the book as well.
Oh, okay.
That ends differently in the book as well.
He stays with her at the end of the book? That's a no.
Yes and no. Yes and no. She doesn't ride off, and we're spoiling, but it ends differently in the book as well.
Yeah.
But I think, and here's another thing, I think for our time and ideals of individuality and personhood, there are certain things that would not smack as true to us. So there's certain things about our time and where we are in our history that have to be changed a little bit. And her having enough identity to write off and not accept his political decision at the end is part of that, I think. So there's that aspect of art as well when you're adapting something that happened when mores were so different decades ago,
right?
Too, right? So yeah, no, that'll be a different bag for you in the book as well. That ending is a little bit different.
I'll get to it
and probably if he makes Dune Messiah, which I certainly hope he does.
He said he will. He said he will make Dune Messiah, and then I think he said he won't make any more after that.
That would,
that would upset you.
Well,
I read that somewhere that I don't know if it's an accurate source. So yeah, who knows?
We'll see what happens. But I mean, he's an artist; he gets to do what he wants to do. But I would anytime he wants to come to this universe, I'm going to go see it.
Yeah.
And you should too.
What's after Dune? Children of Dune?
Children.
Okay.
And I would say if you could get all that on film, like these first three.
Well, Dune Messiah looks much shorter.
And I think God Emperor really caps off this familial story. But it gets so weird, I would forgive you for not doing it because
I've heard God Emperor gets really weird.
It gets out there, man.
Did Frank Herbert write God Emperor?
Yes.
When did his son take over?
His son took over after Chapter House because Frank passed
22?
away. No, it was only I think Frank Herbert only had like six books.
Oh wow, okay.
Five or six. These three and God Emperor, six. These three, God Emperor, Heretics Up, and Chapter House. And then his son and along with Kevin Anderson took over, which I wouldn't recommend. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I would stick with this. I would get up to at least God Emperor, I would say, and you get the full familial story. But it does get weird at the end, man. I'm telling you, it gets out there. But I think well worth reading just for the philosophy, if nothing else.
Okay.
Okay. So
we'll check back in 20 years when I've read it.
I don't know. We've never done this before. This has been awesome for him to be in front of the camera with me. Hit us up in comments. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you want to see more of this or let us know if, oh my God, please never do this again.
I mean, I had fun.
Yeah, I had a great time. But I always do.
Maybe we'll just do this again without turning the camera on.
Yeah, we could not turn the camera on. We could just come up here and just, hang out. And just...
I'd maybe sit a little bit further away from you.
Well, I did brush my teeth.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad about that.
I knew it was early, but I did do that. So hit us up in comments. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you saw the movie. Let us know if you're going to see the movie. Let us know what you thought of the movie. We love comments. And while you're down there, that little thumbs up button, right?
Yeah, click it.
That helps us do everything. Easy. And if you haven't subscribed yet,
the YouTube algorithm likes that.
Yeah, it loves it when you hit that. It's so easy and it feels good.
It does feel good.
It does feel good when you subscribe. So
I've done it on all my personal accounts because I'm inflating our subscriber count.
Don't do that.
What?
Well, I
don't have a lot of personal accounts.
That seems weird.
Would you be upset to find out if I had 4,000 personal accounts and it was all me?
First of all, I'm not exactly sure how many subscribers we have at the moment because I try not to look very much.
4,400.
That's nuts.
Yeah. It's weird. Thank you.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're not just making that up?
No, it's like 4405, something like that. Last I checked. Last night, I think.
I need like a cool compress. That's great.
lot of
How many of those are you? Are your individual?
Realistically, about 4,000. I think like 2 or 3 are me.
Oh my God. Okay. Hang out with us. You know what? We love hanging out. We love comments. We love, the whole point of this was to find some people that love books and stories and movies the way I do, and hopefully you do, even though it's a different
I'm enjoying
medium.
Red Rising.
There you go. So we're bringing them in. We're bringing them in. We're doing the Lord's work and bringing them in. So hit us up. It's been an amazing ride. Thank you so much. My name is John Minton, and this is
Jacob Minton.
And this has been.
Oh, I get to do that too?
Yeah.
So
You're just horrible.
Talking.
This has been Talking Story. Well, I don't know.
I like letting you down on the intro.